In India, when it comes to copying or creating a copy of a particular piece of document, we call it as Xerox. Can you get to Xerox copy of this particular document? And that is how the brand Xerox, the company Xerox, which is known for selling photocopier machines, have penetrated even into the rural parts of the country, and nobody uses the term, or at least very few people uses the term photocopying for creating a copy of a document, but rather they use Xerox. Right, so now by now you might have guessed what I am going to talk in today's episode along with my guest, and I'm going to cover something around brand, and let us understand what the term brand refers to. Generally, the term brand refers to a business and a marketing concept that helps people identify a particular company, product, or individual. But in general, these brands are not tangible, they are intangible, which means we cannot actually touch or see them. For example, if you consider Apple products, they create some sort of impression on our brain and our mind, and we tend to look at those Apple products differently. So is the case with any of the popular brands, be it Nike shoes, be it Tommy Hilfiger apparel, or anything. So these brands help shape people's perception of companies, their products, or even individuals. When I say individuals, if you consider some popular podcasters like Pat Flynn, Oprah Winfrey, or some popular coaches around the globe like Robin Sharma, right? The moment we speak about them, some sort of impression is created in our brain. So brands commonly use identifying markers to help create brand identities within the marketplace, and that is applicable when it comes to business. But brands that individuals carry is a little different. Overall, brands provide enormous value to the company or an individual, which gives them a competitive advantage over others in the same industry. And also, many entities seek legal protection for their brands by obtaining trademarks. So, in today's episode, let us chat with Damon Nailer about brands. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. Folks, I'm your host Navin Samala, just a fellow IT professional on a mission to shape the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And through the Guiding Voice, we help successful leaders share their knowledge and wisdom with the world so that our audience will acquire more knowledge by tuning into the Guiding Voice per every minute than any other podcast in this space. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we are extremely pleased to have Damon part of the Guiding Voice journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Damon, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice, and I'm super excited to have you here. And thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me, Nathan. And I'm just excited about today's podcast and looking forward to jumping into it with you about branding.
Let's get into our conversation, Damon. Can you briefly share with our audience about your career journey and the top 3 things that have helped you so far in your professional life?
Well, my career, my professional life has been a very interesting journey in that I served in so many capacities. It all started when I was an elementary educator, and I taught for 7 years in a local school system. And at the end of that, my teaching tenure, I began to have a desire to step out to pursue entrepreneurship. And at that time, we're talking about motivational speaking, music production, and writing. And I stepped out to do that and was doing really well with that, and ended up pivoting and starting a janitorial business while at the same time doing all of those things so I could basically invest in my endeavors. And I did that for 12 years and then ended up becoming a parent educator. And I did that for 4 years. And now I've picked up the hat of consultant. And now I'm doing mostly consultant work at the present time. Of course, still teaching in a different capacity, but those are, the different things that I've done professionally. And as I stated, it's been very interesting. And I think the 3 things that grounded me and helped me the most were my faith in God, my family, and just flexibility. 3 F's for you: faith, family, and flexibility. Because a lot of people don't like to pivot in life. They have a fear of it. And so they get stuck sometimes in a rut, in a safe and predictable routine and a safe and predictable profession. But I'm thankful that I didn't have that mind frame to just stay in one place and then in one type of profession. But I ventured out, and because of it, I've broadened my horizons, and I have a plethora of experiences that I can now help people in their journey.
Yeah, looks like you had a very unusual career path, but quite interesting to see this 3F framework and all. Awesome. All right, so let's move on to the next one. And I've been going through your profile and came across this gift guru. So
Yes.
how did you become known as a gift guru, Damon?
Well, okay, that's a very good question. I have a program called the G3 Journey. And what I do, I help people find what I call their dominant gift or their strongest talent. And what happens, I analyze it. I say I received it as divine insight. And just through my experiences and being multi-talented myself, there are 6 regions of giftedness on our bodies. And you can classify every profession, every talent and skill. You can literally use your body parts to find out your strongest area of talent. And I always give one of the areas, which is the mouth gifts. And obviously that's your area. And I know it's my area because we're communicators. We like to talk, we like to share, we like to give information, we like to speak. I know in my case, I love to teach. And that is my strongest talent. Of course, I have talents in the other areas, but that is my strongest talent. And what I do, I help people find their strongest talent, and I try to help them find 2 additional talents. And that's why the gift guru comes to mind, because I'm able to help people discover their strongest talents and gifts.
In fact, I love teaching as well. That is one of the reasons why I started my podcast along with my friend. That's a
Awesome.
common point.
Awesome.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Now let's jump into today's topic. Like you
Yes.
cover 4 elements of a brand, right? So can you explain
Yes.
to our audience what are those 4 elements?
Okay. Well, I've created an acronym so it could be memorable, and I call it IRPS, IRPS. And the first is image, and you kind of touched on it when you were doing your introduction. So a brand's image is composed of its visual representation, which is in the form of logos or pictures, and communication, messaging, words, phrases, mottos, and slogans. So when people see our visual representation or they hear our communication, what comes to their mind? And that's what a brand does. It triggers people. If they hear your slogan, like Coke, the real thing, when you hear the real thing, that comes to your mind. There's this advertisement here in the US, and I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but there's this company called Farmers Insurance. And I've never used it. I don't know anyone who uses it, but that commercial, that slogan, we are farmers, dun, 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 dun. When I hear that, I think of that. And that's what a brand will do. That when you hear that slogan or you see the picture, then it will trigger something. And I'm here to tell you, all of us are walking, talking, living brands. So you don't even have to be a company, but you're going to have some type of image. But the key is knowing your identity, who you are at the core, and aligning it with your image, which is what you project to others. The R stands for your reputation. Over time, the systems we create, our practices, our imaging, our products and services will generate some type of opinion and perspective in the mind of those who have some form of contact with our brand. So depending on their experience, they're going to see our business in a positive or a negative light. And what we want to do is make sure that the customers are having a great experience and that our products are awesome. And so they see us in a very great light. They're willing to pass the word around and let others know about us. The P in ERPS is product. And so, or products, some tangible object like batteries, lights, cars, homes, tennis shoes, anything that you can basically touch and use. Your brand is going to become known for it. What is your company known for? Manufacturing or selling? And then the last acronym or letter in the acronym is S, which is service. Useful labor that does not produce a tangible commodity, like we're doing teaching, singing, cleaning, all of those things are services. In what capacity is your company known for serving? So if I were to show a picture, say I'm not sure if you've heard, well, I know, of course, okay, here's a good one, McDonald's. If you saw McDonald's, what automatically comes to your mind? Burgers, typically. Yeah. You see that, right? And so burgers come to your mind. If I say Coca-Cola, what comes to your mind? Drinks, right? So every brand, whenever someone calls out that name, then the imaging is going to come, the reputation, and whether they do a product or a service or a product and service. Yes.
Yep. So IRPS, image, reputation, product, and services. Wonderful.
Yes.
So apart from the brands that you mentioned, okay,
Yes.
or what are some of the best brands in your opinion?
I've mentioned two of them already. McDonald's, I would say Coca-Cola, and Walmart are three that are most common that I'm fully aware of. And of course, we can go into banking like Chase Bank and those Capital One. Those are some brands that I feel are very notable and very strong. And the reason why I like them is because they have expanded their brand. They are not just put in a box, and they break the rules. They are always doing something new. They're always on the cutting edge, and they just keep reinventing themselves instead of being stagnant and being safe. And that's what I love about those brands.
Okay, so you mentioned about McD's, McDonald's, and then Coke, Walmart, Chase Bank, as well as Capital One, right? And also you
Yes.
mentioned about their brand expansion, breaking the rule, keeping on reinventing themselves and all, right? So
Yes.
are there any other top branding concepts which somebody should be aware of?
Well, yes, I normally give 9 in my course, branding, building, bonding, but I'm just going to give 4 today. The 4 top ones, I would say. The first would be professionalism. You want to have excellent quality products and services. They should be superior, and they should definitely be durable. You don't want something that is good, but it only lasts about a week. So you want to make sure that your products are excellent and good condition. You make sure to go through the whole product design and you test it and make sure it's good. Next is visibility. You can have the world's greatest products or services, but if nobody is aware of you, how can you generate sales? How can you get clients, obtain clients if you're not visible? Either you're visible or you're invisible. And what we want to do is expand our brand, expand our network so that we can gain higher visibility. In this day and age, it's imperative that you have a social media presence. You need to have a Facebook, a Twitter, a LinkedIn, whatever, something whereas people can come and see what you're doing. They can keep up with you and you can constantly stay connected and engaged with your audience. The next thing I would say will be effectiveness. This will be the next concept that we need, or the next area we need to make sure we're doing well in. You're producing good results, meeting the customer's expectations, you're receiving good feedback, and you're receiving praise. So in other words, the things that you're producing, either the product you're producing or the service you're giving, then it's coming across well with your audience. With those who are coming in contact with it, they love it. They're telling you, hey, keep doing it. And you have repeat customers and people are looking forward to your next invention, your next innovation. And last, I would say efficiency, accomplishing your goals and objectives with the least amount of time, resources, money, manpower. If you can do that and have, a great turnaround, quick response, and you have good policies and procedures and processes and you're well organized, then you're going to be able to not only have a sustainable brand, but you're going to be able to extend your market in a huge manner. Because when people know they can depend on you and it's going to be timely, then they're going to support you because they can bank on it. You're credible and they know, okay, it's coming because this is how this individual or this company does business. But yeah, those are the 4 things: professionalism, visibility, effectiveness, and efficiency.
So that is on the positive side. In case if you work on that, it is going to help the companies establish their brand visibility and
Yes.
thereby increase their sales, revenue, everything follows. Now let's flip
Yes.
the coin and talk about the top mistakes that the companies are doing in terms of branding.
I would say in many cases, I guess, look, if we flip those concepts that I mentioned, being unprofessional, being invisible, being ineffective, being inefficient. But what I'm also saying, most importantly, is that a lot of brands are starting to play it safe. And I think people have been conditioned and programmed. And when they think of a brand, they kind of put it in one box. And I'll give you a good example. The professional football player, Drew Brees. Everyone knows of his football skills, but he's an entrepreneur as well. And actually, in my town where I live, it's across the river, but he's created it's like a game place that has bowling, it has games, and it has all kinds of things. And so what you want to do is not just be one dimensional and known for one thing, but you want to broaden your horizons and explore different capacities and different avenues with what you're doing. And I think some people, they listen to others saying, just do one thing, just do one thing. Yes, start doing one thing, but don't just stay there, especially if you have more than one talent, more than one passion. You know, you have seasons of inspiration where you're inspired to do one thing, but then you'll lose that burden and passion and you'll shift to something else. Don't be afraid to do that. And please, being predictable is another thing. When people know how you're coming, they know your manner and your processes and your method, and you don't ever change that, people get tired of that. And we're living in the microwave generation. People's attention spans are very short. You got to constantly change. You got to constantly do new things. Then I would say lacking the understanding that you can make changes and still be a recognized brand. People think that making a changes is going to have a negative and adverse effect. But in actuality, in this current age, people want the change. They want something new from you. When I was growing up years ago, a good example with music artists, they only put out projects every few years. But now they want artists putting out music every month. And so, you have to stay on that cutting edge of producing, and giving people new material, new services, new products.
Switching gears, Damon, let's quickly talk about your books. The Great Taste of Success and A Greater Taste of Success, Living, Loving, and Leading.
Okay, good. So The Great Taste of Success, that was my first book. And it's the format of it is 50 potent and inspirational proverbs, and they're accompanied by matching stories. Like the first proverb is, in order to pursue and achieve a dream, one must first have a dream. And what I did, I've actually converted it into an ebook. And normally I gift it to those who may be on the podcast listening here or that I come into contact with. A Greater Taste of Success is the second version of that. It's 50 more potent and inspirational proverbs, and I kind of characterize them with leadership, faith, and several other categories where you have 7 of those different proverbs in each category. And so that's just the Greater Taste of Success, where I was in life at that time. That's when I had started entrepreneurship. The Great Taste of Success, the first one, was when I was just a teacher at that time. So that was that experience. But then you shift over to the entrepreneur side, and that's what A Greater Taste of Success is. And my last book is Living, Loving, Leading. I published that in 2020. And of course, it's about love, life, love, and leadership. But I deal with you finding your identity, finding your purpose, self-care, of course, loving yourself, loving if you have a spouse, loving your spouse, loving your children, loving others. If you have faith, loving your creator. We explore that. And then, of course, with the leading and that part of the third part of the book, we deal with leadership characteristics, how to create your dream team, the different types of supporters you have in life, different leadership structures, and then my 10 laws of leading that I have. And that's basically the breakdown of Living, Loving, Leading. And of course, that's on Amazon. Anyone could get it there. But yes.
Sure. So you'll find the links to both the books in the show notes, folks. All right. So, Damon, this has been great conversation so far, but let's add some spice to the episode. Okay, shall I kick off a quick rapid fire round?
Yes. Let's go.
All right. So let me shoot the first bullet. What was your childhood fantasy, Damon?
I wanted to play basketball in the NBA and, most importantly, be a positive role model. Those are my 2 fantasies, believe it or not. Most people say they want to be millionaires, but those were mine.
I know about the second one, but not sure about your basketball background.
I know, right? I actually played on a national championship team that played in the summers, and we won 5 championships. So, yes.
Okay. Now I'm interested about the best piece of advice that you have received so far.
Focus on building your own brand and fulfilling your own dream. Because if you're not doing those for yourself, you're doing it for someone else.
Wow, so profound. Focus on building your own brand and fulfill your own dream. Wonderful.
Yes.
So, given a chance, would you time travel to past or future?
I want to go to the future. Everything that's in the past can't be changed. So we can only change the present and the future. So I want to go to the future.
Wonderful. And now, can you describe one life-changing incident that changed your perspective?
I would say just a spiritual encounter I had, a divine epiphany that just changed my life, changed my mind, changed my ways, and put me on a totally different path.
All right, so moving on to the last one for rapid fire. What is one electronic gadget that you like to see or invent yourself, Damon?
Flying shoes. Want to be able to get out and just you have your tennis shoes on or your dress shoes, and you can just fly to where you need to go.
All right, so this is another interesting idea, and all those who want to really start up on your own, this is a great idea, guys. So far, we have spoken about flying drones and also time machines and all, but no flying shoes so far. So here is a fantastic idea. All right, so that was a great and quick rapid fire. And with that, let me flip back to the mainstream and ask you one final question for today's conversation. Damon, what will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to begin their careers or lives? You can pick anyone.
I would say see it, say it, seize it.
Wow.
You have to visualize it, you speak it, and then you go get it. Just repeat. Get that visual, speak it, and then put the actions towards making it happen.
Wow. So you started with 3 Fs and concluded with 3S.
Oh, wow, I didn't even realize that till you said it. But yes.
Wonderful. See it, say it, and seize it. So profound. So,
yes.
Damon, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Naveen. We appreciate it, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself as well. Yes.
All right. So, pleasure to host you, Damon. And folks, before we move into the trivia section, here is a small request to you. Please subscribe to us from the app where you have tuned in from, in case if you haven't done already. Also, if you have loved this episode and found it useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the guiding voice. Thank you so much in advance. Now, let's hop into the trivia segment of today's episode. So, if you remember, Damon mentioned about Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and few other brands. But today I'm going to cover a bit more about Coca-Cola. You know, Coca-Cola gets a second nod in our fascinating facts about famous brands because we have covered about Coca-Cola in the past as well. And the fact for today is the drinks giant spends an average of $4 billion on branding each year. And it pays off though. Because 94% of the world's population recognize the red and white logo. Interesting, isn't it? That's all for today. And folks, before I let you go, in case if you have any speaker recommendations or topic suggestions, please drop me a note on social media or email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host Naveen Samala, just a fellow IT professional and a passionate learner on a mission to make a difference in the lives and careers of millions across the globe. Until next time, bye-bye.